Hello, YouTube fam. This is Said here. And today I got something real interesting for you. I have a man named Tristan Harris. Tristan Harris is an ex-minister, and he had a reflecting moment about the God character in the Bible. And as a matter of fact, I actually share his views on that. Don't get us wrong. We both believe in God. We just don't believe in God as to how God was marketed to us by the religion that exists. And not only that, but just I get the feeling, which he'll describe it to you, I get the feeling that man wanted to bestow human traits on God. But you see, God is a supreme being. You cannot bestow human traits on God. Anyway, check the video out, and let's keep it respectable here. You can put your comments down below, but please keep it respectable, okay? And listen to what the man is saying. And, don't get it twisted. Just listen to what he's saying. Entertain what he's saying for a moment. It may resonate with you. It may not. But as I said, I can relate to what he's saying because I feel, relatively the same. So without further ado, we're going to give you Tristan Harris.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks again for stopping by Tristan's Chronicles. I'm Tristan. Thanks for stopping by for a couple seconds, couple minutes, whatever you give. I appreciate it. I know you're busy, but you took the time to stop by. It's much appreciated. I've been trying to get back in front of this camera for at least about 2 weeks. Work has been crazy as hell, and I had a moment to just stop by and pop in and make something and just to say what I've been thinking about. It's crazy as hell when you only got 2 days off because you got to kind of put everything into 2 days, and it just ain't enough time in the day, especially when you got running to do. And then, 5 days you working over 10, 12 hours, whatever it is. Some of y'all are 16. So, man, make sure you get your rest. Make sure you take care of yourself. Because ain't nobody else going to do it like you would. So, with that said, let's get right into it. Ever since I left fundamental Christianity, since I was in it for 20 plus years, people always are intrigued and they get to asking different questions and they want to know about different things. And I did a YouTube short. And this YouTube short, I talked about how the God of the Bible is wicked. Y'all need to go check that out. It inspired me to do this video. I remember having a conversation with a believer who was still in the faith, and they had said something. And at the end of the conversation, right? The end of the conversation, they left with, "I'll be praying for you." And when people always tell me, "I'm praying for you," immediately I'm going to respond and say, "Don't do it, because it doesn't work. You're talking to yourself." You see what I'm saying? Because I take that as disrespect. You're saying that not as a gesture of goodwill, but you're saying it as like an insult.
Okay, let me stop him right there. I agree, because the so-called religious people and the holier-than-thou churchgoers, they really think that there's something above you. And it's kind of demeaning when they say these things, or it's designed to get some kind of a, rouse out of you, or razz you, as the old saying goes. So I agree with him on that. Go ahead and take it away.
Like a disrespectful gesture to say, like, you're led astray or you're looking at everything wrong and I'm looking at it right. So I'm going to pray for you so that you see the light.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's always religious people, holier than thou people, I call them, that think that they have to, insert themselves between you and God. Everybody has a connection with God. You don't need a religious person talking to God for you, okay? And just because you don't see the same beliefs doesn't mean that they should come off the way they do, but they do. okay? And everybody's entitled to their opinion, just like I said. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Just let's not lose respect for the platform here. And that's what religious people do very often. They lose respect for the next person's, opinion, because everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Go ahead.
Don't do that. So that's why I always tell them don't do it, because it doesn't work. You're talking to yourself. And then, I'll just leave it at that and I'll go, And it's always amazing to see people responding that way, because instead of saying, man, I hear your perspective, they go on about something else because they feel they're right in a conversation, especially with religion.
Especially in religion. You heard that, right? Especially in religion. I get the feeling that people worship religion more so than they worship God. They speak God this and God that and everything, but if you watch these people, they don't implement any of God's philosophies into their lives. They just like to speak God in hopes that it'll impress the next person and make them think that they're actually holier than thou. Go ahead.
And since I came out of fundamental Christianity, I understand that mindset where you think you're right and everybody else outside of your current circle is wrong. I get it. It's a mindset. It's like a programming. It's a strong belief of we got it right, our group, and everybody that's not part of our group got it wrong.
That's what's wrong with religion. It's all about a group of people, It's not about individualism. It's about who's in this group or who's in that group. Or you're not with us? Okay, then you're against us. That's how religious people often think too. Go ahead.
And it's so weird because when you think about it now, and as I look at it now, I say, man, it's so cringy. It's weird because I used to be a part of that. So I understand that mentality and that philosophy of it.
I understand it too. I never was actually with it, but I understand it too. Go ahead.
But it brought me to this video because I said never again could I serve, worship, or reverence, or love the God of the Bible because he's unworthy. So why do you think I say that? I say that because never again could I worship a God who they say created humanity, but he was displeased with the humanity he created, and then he just kills them at a whim. Even the babies. Like what the babies do? You see what I'm saying? Like, what did they do? The innocence of them. You killing everybody? You keep a guy and his family alive, but you wipe everybody else out? Like, everybody else?
See, that's the problem. When they come up with these rules, they don't think things through before they come up with it. They're just trying to get people to follow them. It's a control game, a power game. That's all it is. Go ahead.
But you created them. So you weren't happy with your creation. And you said, I might just take them out. I could never again worship a God who gives commands to steal land from other people. Ever. Because there were people already in the land.
Because that's more like a human being type of thinking there, not a supreme being. Besides, God controls everything anyway. If he wanted to do whatever, he would do it. But you see, those sound more like human characteristics. And I understand where this man is coming from. Go ahead.
But you also have to genocide the whole group of people while keeping the virgins for yourself.
Now that's typical of human beings there. That's man's way of thinking right there. Yeah, let me just go in and just, sexual assault and pillage a whole place, even in the name of religion or God or whatever you want to say. Go ahead.
And that ain't weird. Tell me what is. You go in this land, you tell them to invade it, you tell them to kill everybody, but keep the young virgins for yourself.
Now, if that ain't typical man, tell me what is. Go ahead.
And the guy signs off on this. Like, this is the writings of the book. I always ask Christians, I say, man, do y'all read the damn book? Do you read what's in it, or do you just kind of move over what you dislike? Or do you just act like it's not there?
I think it's a combination of all three of those things, plus the fact that people tend to gossip more than to chase after actual facts. And if somebody they liked told them something, they're gonna run with it, be it true or not. In most cases, it's probably not true. So it's a combination of all of those things, I think, personally. Go ahead.
Sometimes I think it's a combination of a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't worship a guy who endorses slavery.
Right. Exactly. So that thinking is more like a man there. Okay? A man would do something like that. I mean, a man would worship somebody else who does something evil, like slavery or whatever, or extortion or whatever it might be. That's human characteristic there. Go ahead.
Not just endorses slavery, but he's very specific on who to enslave, how to enslave them, how to treat them, how to beat them, up to the point where you won't be penalized. Like, very intricate details of that. Like, who does that?
Yeah, men. That's who. Men do that. That's very human characteristic that you just described there. He just described it to a T. A man is that hateful to where he can sit down and just, think of how we're going to do this. What kind of punishment we're going to do. And God doesn't have to sit down and think about that. It just happens. God can make it happen if he wanted to. So that's man's way of thinking. Go ahead.
Like, that is so crazy. And then Jesus comes along and doesn't say anything about it, but endorses it also because he gave us parable about a slave and his master.
Well, see, that's man, once again, trying to talk for Jesus and God. That's the problem. Man tries to talk for Jesus and God, and that's probably what the best explanation for the misleadings of the Bible, let's say. Not to mention, there's I forget how many chapters is it? I can't think of the number right now, but from the time Jesus was 12 till the time he was 33, that part of the Bible is actually missing. Now, where is that? And why is it missing? Write down in the comments if you think you know that. I would like to know. Go ahead.
And I forget, was it the parable of the talents? It was one of them parables where Jesus used slave and his master. When his master comes finding him not doing something, or he didn't use his talents or something like that, he didn't come to change it. He didn't come to correct it. He came to endorse it, which is even more foul because it makes the case that it confirms their own scripture, Christians' own scripture that says God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, which is weird, which is very weird. Never again could I worship a guy who signs off on a lying spirit. It's in his company. He's using it to deceive other people. I just couldn't do it.
And that's a very strong characteristic of man there. Use it to deceive people. How often has religion been used to deceive people? How often has religion been used to create war? A holy war. Case in point. Go ahead.
I couldn't do it. It made no sense. I would never respect or worship a God who does these evil things, especially when this same God tells you not to do the very things that he does.
That's right. That's called hypocrisy. Why would a supreme being lower himself to hypocrisy? God is against that type of thing. So that is man. Man is a living hypocrite. That's what I believe. Go ahead.
So think about that for a minute. Let's unpack that, right? Let's unpack that just for a minute. How effective would it be, you as a parent, to give your kids instructions not to do X, Y, Z, but they see you do the things all the damn time? What do you think?
I think it goes on often. That's what's wrong with a lot of the kids today. Their parents think that they're hiding things from them. The parents are hypocrites, and, well, you know, it goes from there. Go ahead.
What think about that or feel about it? Would they respect you, or would they respect anything you have to say? I'll tell you right now, most kids, when they see it, they're going to call you a hypocrite on sight. Because, see, kids ain't dumb. They notice things when you think they don't notice.
That's right. And that's what adults don't think about a lot of times, too. They think they're getting away with something, but kids see you. You slip up. They slip up so often, and kids see you. And they're going to, you know, after they see you commit hypocrisy so many times, then they're going to go like, okay, well, I'm going to do it anyway. You know, do it under wraps if that's possible. Go ahead.
Most times, they do or pick up on what they see the parents doing. So for the God of the Bible, that's a negative.
Very negative. And it doesn't sound like God at all. It sounds like man, like always. Go ahead.
That's horrible parenting example. Like horrible. Seems like he has the, what do they say? What do the old people say? Seems like he has the do as I say, not as I do mentality.
That is a typical characteristic of humanity. Do as I say, not as I do. And then they'll get angry and upset when you challenge them on that point. Go ahead.
Double standard rules for thee, not for me. Like that's how he comes off, which is bogus as hell when you think about it. Because you're holding someone to a standard you don't even keep.
Right. But it happens all the time with human beings. That's the thing. A supreme being is a perfect being. None of us are perfect. So why would a supreme being conduct itself in that way? It makes no sense at all. And when it makes not much sense, to me, that's always something that a human has done, a man has done. Go ahead.
How in the hell do you deserve worship? Which is crazy when you think about that. It's total insanity. Because if we as parents won't do that, and most times, when you're trying to be a very perfectly modeled good parent, right? One who's upstanding, who's trying to lead their child in the direction that you feel is best, you're telling them to stay away from this, stay away from that, don't do this, don't do that. But man, when they see you, you also kind of got to reflect the don't do of the thing that you told them.
Right, which doesn't happen. So for the things in the Bible that are generally hypocrisy, it's I think that came from human beings, because it's just like you take this man's story, that man's story, and that man's story, and put them all together in a book, and based on what they say is the information that we have. Go ahead.
Because if not, now they can use that as ammo. Well, you do it. How you gonna tell me not to do something you don't even do? See what I'm saying? So that creates this dialogue. And now, what you gonna say as a parent? Yeah, you're right. You got me. You see what?
Or get mad about it. Yeah, you got it.
I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. When I read the scripture and I see Because I didn't see it as a fundamental preacher for 20 plus years. I didn't. See, for me, I didn't see it as a preacher. I would read and see all the hideous shit, and I would just justify it in the sense of, well, God had a reason. Well, he's God. Or, well, damn, yeah, God don't play.
That's right. And that's what you hear the whole time when you're in religion. You know? That's what you hear the whole time that you're in religion. But, I mean, it just sounds like something a man would do. Go ahead.
I mean, and if we leave it at that, like, damn, God, man, thank God for Jesus. That's what we used to say. Like, I would be the first one to say it. But that doesn't rectify the fact that he did it. You see what I'm saying? This shit is bogus all the way around.
That's right. It's bogus all the way around. And it happens all the time. It's a common tale. Go ahead.
All the way around. So when you look at it from that perspective, it doesn't make any sense. And here's another thing. According to evangelical Christian theology, right? The whole human race is considered sinful because of Adam's actions, right? Remember, as preachers, as believers, the mindset is, because scripture says this, of one man's sin, all are guilty after him. Guilty by association. You didn't really do the act, but because Adam did it, you guilty. That's Christian theology. And
that sounds like a witch hunt. And man is great about creating little witch hunt games. So you're right. Go ahead.
Beat upon the minds of people on a weekly basis, right? But let me tell you this. Adam did the act. You were nowhere to be found. You didn't do it. I wasn't there. I never did it. I'm guilty by association. So now I'm the one wrong. Now I'm the one because of what somebody else did, right?
And that's typical of human beings too. Always looking for a scapegoat or create a scapegoat type situation. Typical human beings. Go ahead.
I'm guilty by association. I didn't do the act. He's messed it up for everybody, and everybody after him is messed up. That's Christian theology.
Yeah, that's human philosophy, period. Go ahead.
So using that same Christian theology, how is it that a guy who does all these wicked things over and over and over again isn't considered wicked at all? He did them multiple times, multiple occasions, constantly, right? But he's not considered wicked at all. Adam did it. I didn't do it. But I'm guilty because of what Adam did. But a guy does it constantly over and over and over again. He ain't considered wicked at all. It don't make no sense.
That's favoritism. That's a typical human trait also. Favoritism, you know? One person does something, it doesn't matter. One person got enough money, it doesn't matter. One person looks good enough or whatever, or they got some kind of connection with them, it's okay, they can break the rules. Rules were made to be broken. Go ahead.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
That's right, it doesn't.
Nonsense. It's total nonsense. So when you look at it from that perspective, let's look at it a little bit even deeper. In real life, because you got to say that, right? Because the Bible is fiction mythology. In real life, we identify one another, right? Based off the things we've done. So many people say, man, I can't stand a lying-ass liar. That's what people say. Or they say, I can't stand it being around a thief. Whatever it is may be, when people are found guilty of all type of vile acts and violations, we as society label them based off of what they done. Like, you did that? Oh, you this. Or you did this? You that. Like, you label them. You it's like we group them subconsciously or consciously based off of what they did.
Yeah, kind of like the old saying, once a junkie, always a junkie, and so forth. I got you. Go ahead.
But when we read the pages of the Bible, how a guy acts, and he tells you he's jealous, and he tells you how he acts, and you see it in the pages, you don't have the same energy and discernment for the God you chose. Why? See, my thing is, do actions speak louder than words or not? Do they?
Yes, they do. Actions not only speaks louder, actions tell the exact truth about a person. A person's words will always be based on lies. Okay? Actions are based on neurological responses, that is, brain responses, things that we have practiced so much that sometimes we can do them without thinking. For example, have you ever walked into the wrong room when you're supposed to go into another room, but you walked into a wrong room because you've walked in that room so many times that you're used to doing it? Yeah, that's a neurological response. That is telling the truth. That's something you've done so often. Go ahead.
See, we instantly have, and here's the thing. We instantly have glaucoma. We developed a form of glaucoma. And we read this stuff and we can't see it, right? We read it, we can't see it, or we see it, but like I said, we kind of brush over it. We kind of justify it. Whatever it is we need to do to get over that hurdle to kind of paint this God in the pages as a good moral person or good moral character or good moral deity. We can't see it, but why can't we see it? And I think back when I used to preach this stuff, I couldn't see it because I would look at it from a perspective of using what he did as an excuse to give him the reason why he did it. I know.
Right. Exactly. And that right there, if you have to go through all of that, that's more human than, something that a supreme being would do. Go ahead.
Sound crazy as hell. It really does. You see the madness, but you justify it because you have to give yourself an excuse on why you think he's doing what he's doing, even though in real life you would identify somebody else as wicked, as evil as hell.
Right, exactly. A double standard. That's that double standard, human nature or human philosophy. Double standard. Correct. Go ahead.
But your mind, because you've been indoctrinated, because the indoctrination process goes so deep when it comes to religious belief systems, that your judgment is selective on what is right and what is wrong based on what you've been told.
Right. Monolithic. That's what it is. Monolithic. Insane monolithic society. Go ahead.
That indoctrination will have you looking at what's wrong as right and what's right as wrong.
And that is typical human beings right there. How the style changes. Look at what's popular now. The women are practically naked now, and that's in. That's accepted. That's okay. Yes, go right ahead.
That's how screwed up psychologically it is, and that's how screwed up psychologically it can be in the hearts and in the minds of people, man.
You said it. In the minds of people. That's right. And people wrote that Bible. Okay? Let's call a spade a spade. People wrote that Bible, not God. People did. Go ahead.
Like, how can you on one side of the coin, you see something and you can be crystal clear, like, yeah, that's messed up. That shouldn't be. Ha, 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 rail against it. But on the other side, right, in the book, more monstrosities happen by the hands of a God you say you love and serve, and you quiet as church mouses.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's the hypocrisy of religion right there. All in a nutshell. Go ahead.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, how? Indoctrination. At times, you aren't allowed to question what you see, or you aren't allowed to see it. Because it's a blinder. It blinds you to the reality of, damn, there may be an issue. Houston, we have a problem. You see what I'm saying? And the worst thing some of us want to do, and I think about that as when I was a preacher, because you see different stuff, but what you do is you shelve it for later and you say you'll get to it. And that's how many people do it. They shelve it for later and say they'll get to it, and they never get to it because one of the worst things people want to do is to probe into what the hell is going on over here.
That's the problem. That's the problem with society today. That's why the government has so much control over us, for that very same reason. Because people don't want to look at the real issues. They're too focused on Cardi B and stupid Hollywood people and things, just dumb things like this. So yeah, I agree totally with that. Go ahead.
See, it may disrupt and it may unravel the whole fantasy. You see what I'm saying? Nobody wants their fantasy, their Cinderella story, their perfect set of beliefs and system of belief unravel. That's why people can deal, when cognitive dissonance set in, they can deal with it by not even realizing something is wrong, or not even acting like or addressing what may be a problem.
That's the problem with people, period. Especially Americans. As an old saying goes like this: if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And that's the spot that America is in right now. The government says jump, Americans say how high. And then they go into little private corners and complain about it. But that's human nature. Go ahead.
They won't do it. It's a fear there. So there's so many fear elements there, but indoctrination keeps you to the point where it makes you in love with your captor.
Right. Last time I checked, I believe that's called Stockholm Syndrome. Go look it up. Go ahead.
So now, since I'm in love with my captor, I defend my captor. I rationalize things. I make excuses for my captor. Oh, what my captor did is good. Might equals right. He or she, he can do whatever he wants. Like, that's how we do it, because you've been indoctrinated so long and the roots are so deep. People really don't want to deal with the issue of, Houston, we may have a problem.
Right, exactly. So they stay stuck on nonsensical things like society does these days. The government can pull so much dirt under the table because nobody's willing to look up under that table. You know? It's like the magician when he's doing his sleight of hand tricks. He brings it, he shows it to you in his right hand. Next thing you know, he waves his left hand over. He's taking it to the left hand, but you're so busy looking at the right hand that you don't see that he's already cupped it in his hand and put it in his pocket. And this is the same tricks they pull on us. But it's our fault because we turn a blind eye to the real issues and we don't want to shake at that tree, so to speak. Go ahead.
Because it's easier to just see it, slough it under the rug like the elephant in the room and just keep it moving.
And get back to partying and nonsense and all the things that we like to do. You're so right. Go ahead.
Just keep it moving. But see, that's so... You can only do that for so long. You can only deal with that for so long, and eventually that rug gonna become a molehill.
Well, not really. Yeah, you're right. You're right. We can only do it for so long, but people are gonna milk that cow to the end. Ignorance is bliss. And this is what people depend on. How long can we stay in this ignorant state? We don't want to be concerned with the issues. I don't care what they're doing up under there. But then when that dirt that's been done up under the table finally comes to light, in the form of, oh, now the economy is raised by 28% and inflation is up 35% and all that. This is what culminates into your turning a blind eye to things. Okay, I'm using just economy and things because we do it on a daily basis. But still, I digress. We won't get far away from the subject here. Go ahead.
Rug gonna become a stump that you looking and you gonna realize, like, damn, I gotta deal with what's under here. I gotta deal with the issues that I'm coming up against because I'm basically, in a sense, because of what I believe and what I'm taught and believing and what I'm seeing is conflict. And most people don't want to touch that, right?
Right. But some people will go on the rest of their lives believing it. And if you try to explain it like you're doing now, like he's doing now, you're only going to get flack back from these people. You know, what's the old saying goes? You can take a boy out of the jungle, but you can't take the jungle out of a boy. You know, that's what it is. People believe those old narratives. They're going to keep those old narratives alive. And God help you if you try to show them another way. You know? Yeah, go ahead.
They don't really want to deal with that because that's a tough issue. So when I see this Bible God character and I see the monstrosities and the things that he does, you have to ask the question, how is this character worthy of worship? I don't get it.
Because, you know, we've been sold this pig in a blanket for a long time, and people are, you know, we're creatures of habit, and if somebody that we like told us, you know, throughout our lives that this is what we need to be doing, this is what we do. We stay. It's more issues than just the religion here, but it applies to a lot of other things too. But right now we're talking about religion. I don't want to digress again. Go ahead.
How is he worthy of worship? He's not. He's not. Just like we can identify something in real life, you can identify it in a book. It's not worthy of worship at all.
No, it's not. And I don't believe that God is in any way like that Bible portrays God as being. I think man put human characteristics to that God in the Bible just to scare people, and scare tactics and fear mongering is as bad as it is. It's still very effective. It's a very effective means of controlling the population, which they are doing to this very day. Go ahead.
I won't worship a God who gets jealous because of human behavior. That's insane.
Yeah, why should a supreme being be jealous of a human being? He made the human being. You see how stupid and ridiculous that sounds? But you got people that'll sit and argue with you and probably will get mad about this video too. But it's fine, you know, it's everybody. I'm respecting everybody's opinion. Just don't get disrespectful here, okay? Go ahead.
That don't sound like a God to me. That sounds like men writing a story, imposing a God into it from their own imagination.
Exactly. Very eloquently put. And that's what I think the Bible actually is. Go ahead.
Never again could I worship a God in that book that's described that way, that done those things, that said those things, that acted in that way, ever again. He's unworthy.
All right. Great. That was the former Reverend Tristan Harris. And he brought some good points. And if you live long enough, people, you got to ask yourself one day, you know, if you really look at how the Bible portrays God, it portrays God as a really jealous, envious human being more so than a supreme being. Why should a supreme being be jealous and be vindictive and all of these things? That's a human characteristic. A human has to be that way because most of the time, if they want to do something against, then they would have to plan it out and everything like that. If God doesn't want something, God can make it happen right away. God can kill all of us right away. Doesn't need to plan it out. That's a human characteristic. So what this man was basically saying is this. If you go and read the Bible and try to understand what's in the Bible, it has God as being really just a vindictive. He's like a vindictive human being, and it doesn't make sense. He's like a vindictive human being that constantly commits hypocrisy. That makes no sense at all. So this was just a little something different here. I did this reaction video because I thought this was very interesting. It hit very close to how my thinking is. And let me hear in the comments below what you think about this. You know, even if you didn't like it, you can express that too. Just please don't be disrespectful, okay? Because I will block the comment if you just outright disrespectful, okay? Say what you mean. Just use words that intelligent people use, okay? And as we always say before, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. And as I always say, take care, be mindful, peace out.